to the cum zone.
Thank you.
The fun zone. Sorry, we need to be family friendly here.
Bro,
Welcome to
my
the
desk
fun
is gonna
zone.
collapse.
Only fun inside PC building. That's right. So, yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the cringe zone. Yeah. Very true. All right. So, anyways, if you're one of the other 14 people, or I guess it's like more like 12 people. If you're one of
What?
the other 12 people, actually, it's more like 10 people that might ask questions here.
10.
If you're one of the 10 people in this channel that might have a question, put your question in the voice chat text channel and ping me. How does this guy have 697 followers? Dude, I had 700 yesterday, dude. Oh my god. 3 people unfollowed. Oh my god, I'm actually gonna cry. Paid to play? Bro. Imagine paying for only 600 followers. That'd be pretty funny. Dude, if you're gonna pay for followers, you gotta pay for at least like a couple thousand, you know? 600 is like weak sauce. I'm just here to be disruptive. Okay, good shit. Is this good for Apex? Oh, okay. Apparently someone said it's a private list. Oh wow, look. Hero Brian has followed. Very based. Now I have 698. We still have 69 in the number, so we're chilling. Are you streaming? Yes. Yes, ma'am. I am streaming. Can you build me the $1,200 PC and power picker? I would, but unfortunately, if I make you a list now, you are not going to be able to find the GPU. And because of that, when you are able to find the GPU, the rest of the list will be stinky by then. It will go bad. So, get the GPU first. Take your time, find the 3060 Ti first. And yeah. Why did I even tell you my name, Origins? Because we're best friends. Because I've known you since you were a child. We knew each other as kids. You lived across the street from me, and you would tell me the secrets of how you got your Discord name, and that's why only I know and nobody else knows how you got your Discord name. All right, is this good for Apex? Let's look at this list, shall we? Let's take a look at this gamers list. Let us observe. Did you just make a wide night blob emote? Oh my god. All right, let's see. Oh my god, it has an A data swordfish in it. I'm already puking. Yikes. Is this good for Apex? Let's see. Uh, um, I don't know if you could do much better than this, given the budget that you have. I think, yeah, unless you go used, which you probably should, but yeah, it's probably unrealistic that you do much better than this new. Obviously, I don't like the 1650 Super as of this time for that price, but as good as it's gonna get. I'm actually surprised it's 175 right now. And peripherals, especially mouse, keyboard, headset. I guess it's $50 for all three, but still, I'd try and opt for something different. I don't know. This is the budget range where it's like you're making so many compromises for not that much less money when you could be, spending a little bit more money and getting a lot more out of it. Like there's such a high value peak, like a little above this. So I don't know. It's just not a great budget to be stopping at. All right, Ultra Bro. This is what I got right now. How much FPS do you think I'll get for COD or GTA? You can check yourself using a benchmark or using somebody else's benchmark. But 5600 x 3080 will fucking demolish like literally any game. And
Bro,
if
Aegis
and if it can't
just
demolish a
demolished.
game, then it's the game's fault or it's that literally nothing can.
No, 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 no,
So,
no, no, no. It's not that at all. Okay, can I tell you what it is?
I have a
It's either
2070
Cyberpunk 20.
Super. Should I upgrade? No. Why would you upgrade a 2070 Super? A
The
$1,200
only
budget should have a 5600X and a 3070. Uh, Maybe? I mean, not necessarily. What microphone do you use? I use a GXL 2200. Are you streaming? Yup. Yuppers. Big Yorps. Alright, let's see. Oh shit. I didn't mean to. Okay, there we go. Oh, what the fuck? I wasn't on stream. It is now. Okay, good. Hmm. Why is the 5600X $400? The same reason some 3080s are $1,000 right now.
There are old beard men who are in their mid-30s who are hoarding your car that you should be having right now.
Oh shit, I wanna grab some people in here.
Is anyone here?
No, there are actually 0 people in this voice channel besides you.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know.
That's fine.
Bit unfortunate. How long do I gotta wait to ask for a build that's gonna be bought on February 1st? Come on February 1st. Assuming you have a GPU. I have a 2070 Super, should I upgrade? I already answered this question. Why would you upgrade a 2070 Super? Like, what game is
Why
there
does
where
it
you're like,
matter if
ah
you-
yes, my 2070 Super is really struggling here. Really having problems. Like, oh well.
You're just unsatisfied
This,
because you don't have
oh my
8K.
god, this fucking Davin guy, dude. I don't know what to do with him. He's being a little exciting, you know? Being a little
Hey,
inspirational.
does anybody know anything about IKEA desks by any chance?
No, sir. Intel i9 or AMD 5600X. Why are you comparing them? One is like $500 and one is like 300.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very cool.
It's like very interesting. I could see like the appeal to, you know what I'm saying?
Shouldn't
Like
bad
there's so many
advice be bannable like mega cringe advice? Unfortunately, that is not a rule in the server.
Yeah, honestly, we could just
And
say
you can't
random
really
shit
like blame someone for giving bad advice unless they like repeatedly do it after being told not to and like why they're wrong. But like, you know,
and
some people they just hear the wrong shit and they repeat the wrong shit and it's like you can't really punish someone for that. It's like, you know, you can't make people lying like against the law, right? It's like you can't do that.
it's the
So,
Twitter curse. It's the Twitter curse.
yeah, sure.
And also, you know, like it could be also be some random bullshit you can just ignore.
Alpha
Mostly it's a
kills
lot of
people who give bad advice. I didn't know Alpha was murdering people. That's interesting. Why does
like
it matter if we return in 1 to 2 months for the updated build? Go to build advice read and check the pinned messages there and read the top pinned message. So, build advice read, top pinned message. There are 6 primary reasons why you don't plan early/buy overtime. Read the 6 reasons and you will understand why we do not make lists early for Epic PC gamering. Wait, this guy thinks AMD is planning to release next-gen GPUs in late 2021? What? Bro, what? A new GPU gen in less than a year after the current one?
That's weird.
Question mark?
I mean,
Yeah,
isn't that
no.
weird?
That is very wacko. Which is the best RTX 3080? The one you can buy, yeah.
Any RTX
Hit me
30.
up later and let me know what you think of that conversation. If you do, check it out. I posted screenshots of the important bits. I visited the website. Left Skull sent me the website. It's cringe as fuck. That's all I'm gonna say. It literally just looks like it's copying like Tech Power Up, except for it's wrong because it puts like the 6900 XT over the 3090 in gaming, which is like even like Hardware Unbox doesn't think that, which is like stupid. Actually stupid. He admitted he copied the data from TPU, Hardware Unbox, and others. Yeah, it's fucking cringe. Like, just use Tech Power Up. Like, you want to see the difference between GPUs? Just like go to Tech Power Up and like look at the database. And like that's good enough. It's like such a useless website, and it's fucking terribly designed too. Like awfully
Which
designed.
website is? design.
Some kid made a website and is like trying to shill it to give people advice, and it's not going well. Is he stripped all other specs and methodology from the results and gave only the CPU metric? Yeah, it's like user benchmark. It's basically like user benchmark. Yeah, it's just like trying to condense parts into a single number, which is really stupid. So don't do that. Yes, guys, this CPU is X number, and the other CPU is X number, is Y number. So that means this one is better than this one. It's like, no, that's not how that works. What's the website? I don't know. You can ask Pi for it. It's cringe. That's what I will tell you. It is cringe, my good sir. It is extreme cringe. All right. Oh, that kid, he messaged me asking to pay him so that he can give me advice on building a PC. Lol. Wait, who? The fuck? Wait, I'm sorry, what? Someone asks you to pay them. Yeah, wait. Was that in this server? Because that's actually like punishable in this server.
Oh, they're my laptop.
Yeah, if someone like tells you to pay them in this server, I'm pretty sure that's punishable. Because we really don't like that here. I don't think that's in the rules, but I know the mods here really do not like that. Yeah, if someone is asking you to pay them to give you build advice, they better be really fucking good. They better be like really, really fucking good, dude. I have a B550 more. Should I get an X570? Okay, come on. This is borderline trolling. Don't be like this. All right. Don't be like this. Yes, I am. Okay, you know what? I'll read what you said, Pi. I'll read what you said to me. 1 second. Hold on. Let's read through the conversation here. Okay, let's see. No data from benchmark sites is used. Isn't Hardware Unboxed a benchmark site? What? Okay, whack. Oh god, Quake is in build advice in PC Part Picker now. Oh god. Yeah, that is wacky. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, this is a stupid conversation. I don't want to read it anymore. It's just making my head hurt. I don't want to read it anymore. The guy with the website is one of Quake's Discord friends. Yeah, yikes. A Quake lackey. Dude, imagine being the lackey of a lackey of a lackey. Imagine that. Just being the parrot of a parrot of a parrot. Like fucking 3-tier parrot. Your parrot 3 times removed. That's just awful. Like, Quake is already just like, let's say, you know, his cranial cavity is a little hollow on the inside. It's a little hollow, and I don't think anybody associated with him is going to you know, be too far removed from that sort of mental state. PC Part Picker builds in featured menu is horrible. Yeah, not great. I don't blame them though. You know, they don't want to update that shit all the time, and their parametrics are like not good either. But whatever. Where are you streaming at? Twitch. If you click on my Discord profile, you can see that I am streaming. How do we stay up to date on renewal of stock? By going to by getting notified, you know, whenever stuff is in stock. So you can do that using, there's like Twitch streams that track stocks. There's like YouTube streams that track stocks. There's Discord servers that have notifications. There's like phone notifications. There's like a bunch of different ways. Here's the most entertaining bit that covers basically the whole convo. Okay, let's see. Hold on, let me add you to the regulars list. Okay, let's see. Pi 9. There you go. You should be able to send links. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yes, but you can say that about anything to make you your. Uh-huh. So he's basically saying because getting good data is difficult, I'm not gonna do it. Or like it's impossible, so I should just, half-ass it and make it really inaccurate instead. It's literally worse than user benchmark. In average accuracy? But according to who? By what standard? Completely blows that data out of the water. And like, who cares? Like, no one with a brain uses user benchmark to compare shit anyway. So like, of course, that's like a very low bar. Yeah, like, wait, his website says that 2600 is 67% of the performance of a 5600X. Like, fucking
I'm
cringe.
getting a free
On average, no, that's clearly like with a 3080 or a 3090 or something like that. And the average person does not own a 3080. That's fucking stupid. It's just, what a stupid argument. It's just fucking stupid, dude. This is why like people that make sites like user benchmark and shit like that, they need to like understand like how the parts actually interact. Otherwise they end up making like stupid shit like that, and it's just dumb. It's very dumb. Very big dumb. I'm not buying for like 3 to 4 months. Great, then you're big chilling for 3 to 4 months. And lucky
Yeah.
for you, in 3 to 4 months, cards are likely to be like, in stock and shit.
Expired.
How did you learn about computer
Nice.
parts? A lot of reading and also shit posting with other people that know about computer parts. I tell them about computer parts. I tell them about stuff that I know. They tell me about stuff that they know. We talk about shit. We discuss. We rub our heads together. And generate a lot of nerd electricity. That's how it happens, dude. Basic training will be done,
What
then I can
parts
buy
are
my
you-
parts. You know what?
What's
Why
your
don't
budget?
should we? I don't know. How do you learn about PC parts and stuff? Shit posting with others, exactly. I don't know. Maybe we should do like a whole session today where we just talk about all of PC parts, all of it. Power supplies, yeah. Lol. The build I have with a 56. No, okay, you're fine. Assuming you have a motherboard that has BIOS flashback, you're okay. Hey, call BQ bad. Look Lamau literally right after. All right, let's see. On average, in which ways? I never said average people amount. We're talking about data, not people. We're not benchmarking people here. So who owns the graphics cards then? Do GPUs just run themselves? Are the GPUs playing Fortnite on the GPUs? Like, I don't understand what he's saying. So when he says on average, he literally just said average person. So like you like he literally just said average person. Like, so I'm assuming, yeah, he means like the average person, this is for average people. And then you're like, so do you consider people who have an RTX 3080 average people? And he's like, no, I never said average people. Like literally one message above that, average person. Like, we're not benchmarking people. Like, this is such a fucking red herring straw man ass looking bitch right here. On average based on a 2080 Ti or 3080, not on average based on a 1660. Exactly. And you expect any single person in this world to test every single GPU with every single CPU and every single game on every single setting? I mean, that'd be nice. You must be out of your mind. That is literally impossible. Well, yeah, if you accept that it's literally impossible, don't make a tool that's worse. Don't make a tool that's literally like, if you accept that, making a benchmarking site or making a compilation / result site that shows perfectly how a CPU and GPU will perform together is very difficult. Yeah, that's a very difficult task. But that doesn't mean you go, okay, well, I'm just going to make a website that's shitty and wrong then instead. Like, it's like, not, I don't know, whatever. Dumb people are dumb. That's all it is, dude. Would you be willing to make a small handbook simplified for understanding PC parts? So here's the thing, right? One of my like 50 or so projects that I'm supposed to be working on is like a full comprehensive PC building guide. But the summary is I really hate my SSD spreadsheet, and yeah. It's just stopping me from working on literally anything. Okay, so what do you mean unfortunately everything? Like where are we starting? What are you actually like trying to understand when it comes to PCs? Because there's a couple ways of approaching PC parts, right? Like do you want just the useful stuff that will help you like buy stuff and, you know, pick stuff that's good? Or do you want information that's gonna like, you know, are you so interested in this that you might make this into a career or something, you know? Like there's different levels. If I could hypothetically get a 3080 or 3090, is the 3090 worth the extra? Typically no, usually no. And also, this isn't a hypothetical, so, you know, figure yourself out. Because intermediate level, I'm entering to be an ethical hacker. Yeah, if you're going into white hat stuff, it helps learning about hardware, at least to some level. Software engineering PCs. You should know like you know, storage hierarchies, or you know, you should learn like layers of abstraction, which kind of crosses over into C territory. So intermediate level. Okay, well, okay, all right, here I'll go over, you know what, this might be good YouTube content. This is practice for good YouTube content. Okay, all right, let's do this. All right, so when it comes to the PC, right, here's what you gotta do. All right, so PCs are like, you gotta lick it. You gotta give it some smooches. That's what you gotta do. Clip it. No, this is gonna be like 10 minutes or longer. I'll try and boil this down though. So, people who are buying PCs, including you, are usually buying them to do something with the PC. So a lot of the people in this server are buying them to do gaming, to a certain standard, right? Obviously, gaming is, you know, kind of specific, but it's not super specific because there's obviously a lot of different games, different resolutions, different settings, different places in a specific game might be different as well. So based on all of that, that can change what kind of hardware you're going to recommend or you're going to want to look at. And then there's other use cases besides just gaming. You know, there's like video editing, there's hobbyist machine learning, there's you know, simulations. There's a lot of different use cases out there. So all of that, your use case or the purpose of your build, right? The things you're actually doing on your computer are what informs the choices that you make when it comes to picking parts for your PC. Okay? So now we're gonna go over each of the parts in the PC. Okay, each of the parts in the PC. Pretty simple, not super difficult to understand. So let's go into this. Okay, so let's start with CPU, RAM, and storage because I think those three kind of mesh well together. So CPU, you know, it's often called like the brain of the PC because it is like the brain. You know, it does most of the processing on your PC. So any sort of general operation that needs to happen on your PC, your CPU handles the crunching. All right. So if you're playing a game, CPU will handle part of the gaming workload. If you are, you know, opening Microsoft Word, or you are, you know, chatting with some friends on Discord, your CPU is running that task, and it is managing, you know, everything that goes on in your system. And so yeah, that's the CPU. It's the brains of the operation. Okay, pretty simple. Cooler, you know, that's self-explanatory. Although usually when we say cooler, we're talking about a CPU cooler because GPUs come with coolers attached to them. So yeah, CPUs can come with coolers. We call those stock coolers. And stock just means like from the box, you know, from the factory, untouched, unmodified. That's what stock means. So a CPU cooler that's a stock cooler, it's from the factory. So some CPUs do come with coolers as well, but when we say cooler, we typically mean CPU cooler, because that is what you would be replacing or adding if you were to buy a cooler typically. Right, so I said I want to do the CPU, RAM, and storage. So CPU, again, like the brains. Another little tidbit, the CPU, obviously computers are all about moving and processing data, okay? Anything in a computer is going to be related to moving or processing data. So the CPU, it moves data in and out of itself, and then it processes that data, right? The CPU, while it's holding data that it wants to work on, holds it in stuff called cache. Okay. You might have heard of this term before, like L3 cache or whatever. The CPU has a certain amount of cache. It's organized a specific way. And when the CPU is working on some shit, it puts that shit in the cache, and then it can work on that shit. Okay. Now, cache is pretty small though. Cache is typically, total on a CPU is on the order of like megabytes. It's pretty small. So obviously you can't fit like a whole game in there. You can't fit, Windows in there in its entirety. So what do you do when you run out of space on the cache? Well, any data that's not currently being worked on, that's, maybe taking up space in the cache, you put that in the RAM. That's what the RAM is for. Okay. So this is why having faster RAM can give you better performance, because if you have faster RAM and the CPU is pulling stuff from the RAM to work on and dumping stuff into the RAM to work on later, if the RAM is faster, the CPU can spend less time waiting for the RAM. Okay. Now storage. What if you can't fit something in the RAM? Right? That's the next step. That's the next step in this hierarchy. What if you can't fit something in the RAM? Then you put in the storage, whether that's SSD or hard drive or whatever. Then you put in the storage. Okay. So yeah, that's CPU, RAM, storage. We went over cooler. Motherboard is like the skeleton. Right? It's like the skeleton of the PC. It fits all your little bits and pieces onto it, whether it's your RAM, your CPU, your GPU, your Wi-Fi adapters, your sound cards, your whatever you're putting on your PC. It's usually going to be connected to the motherboard in some way. It's kind of like a hub, right? Holds everything and connects everything together so everything can communicate. And yeah, that's the function of a motherboard. GPU is kind of like a specialized CPU, right? The GPU is specialized in doing, as its name would suggest, graphical tasks. The main difference between the CPU and the GPU is that a lot of the time the GPU is working on a specific type of processing that can be broken down into many bits that can be worked on at the same time. So you might be familiar with the idea that like the CPU has like, a couple cores, maybe like 4 or 6 or 8 or 12 or something. But GPUs can have, thousands and thousands of, I guess you can call them cores as well. And they're designed in such a way that they can work on tons and tons of tiny operations at the same time. So not everything on a computer can be broken down into, thousands and thousands of operations like that very easily. Some things are really like indivisible, but it happens to be that a lot of graphics processing workloads, like particle effects and filters, stuff like that, can be broken down very easily into tons of little bits. And so the GPU is kind of like a more efficient CPU that's only good at some parts of processing. And it's so good at that stuff that we have made it like a separate thing, and we, call it a video card. We use it for gaming. We buy it separately, uses a bunch of power, and it's on its own board. So that's how important the GPU is now. Case, I don't think I need to explain case. Power supply, that's kind of self-explanatory as well. When you say the GPU has a CPU. What kind of operations go on? What do you mean by what kind of operations go on? I mean,
You said some things happen in the background. So what do you mean by that?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said some operations happen in the background.
Yeah.
Like many operations happen at once with the CPU. What do you mean by that? Like, how can we see that?
I'm still not quite understanding your question.
Right, continue. Let me rephrase it. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Hello, Aegis.
Hi. Hello, gamer.
665p bad.
Is the what? In the what?
Oh, Phil, you're cringe.
Oh yeah, Silicon. Right, classic. Me playing
Silicon,
GTA this morning. Silicon is telling people the 665p should never be recommended. It's a terrible SSD. And then when I ask him, oh, why is it bad? He's like, well, there's cheaper and better SSDs like the P2. And I'm like, the P2 is worse. And then he's like, and then he never comes back.
Give me some
I'm
sources.
tired of you saying F you and then like you
that
just
was funny. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
says
and
fuck
then I'm
you.
just like ah.
Can you explain how NVIDIA/AMD's relationship with companies like Asus and stuff who sell their GPUs work? Why does NVIDIA give them plans rather than selling all the GPUs themselves? Wouldn't that make them more money? So here's the thing, right? Having to make a bunch of designs. So first of all, if you're familiar with economics, having a single product and being able to segment it into a bunch of different flavors, I guess you can say, whether that be based on aesthetic segmentation or performance segmentation, that's really up to the company. But based on that, you can actually make more money off of a product. So instead of having just one model of 3080, having 2 models or 3 models, or at this point we probably have like 50 or so, or probably more than that. But having maybe a couple models of 3080 is more beneficial for your financial strategy in terms of splitting up your market, accessing more people, and getting more people to buy your product, basically, right? So one of the reasons is that designing coolers, designing PCBs, and binning your silicon so that you have all these different segments is overhead. And it's overhead that NVIDIA and AMD don't really want to stomach. It's not really their place, they don't really want to deal with having to make a bunch of different designs and then having to support those designs as well. So NVIDIA and AMD, basically, they design the silicon, right? And they design board specifications and guidelines that are supposed to be followed by board partners like Asus and EVGA and Sapphire and PowerColor and all these other companies. And those companies, as long as they conform to those specifications, are free to make coolers. They're free to choose fans to use. They're free to modify firmware. They're free to bin the silicon that they receive, and then they're free to allocate that silicon to whatever GPUs that they want to sell, really. So bit of an open-ended kind of relationship that they have there. And at the end of the day, it's nicer because, as a consumer, you have more choices. You have, if you want an Asus Dual, you can get an Asus Dual. If you want a Founders, you can get a Founders. If you want an XC3, you can get an XC3. A CPU with 2 cores, for example, could run 2 different processes at the same time. What does process mean in this context? A process is, okay, process kind of has 2 meanings. Like, you could take the OS meaning of process, which is like an application process, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you're going into White Hat. And process could also mean like an oversimplified version of them saying instruction. Yeah, a CPU with 2 cores can basically handle 2 separate instruction streams. If you want to get more detailed into it, I kind of went very, light, very basic with what I was explaining. But CPUs, basically, you might have heard of, instruction sets before, right? CPUs, they have basically everything that's done on your computer, whether it's browsing Discord, whether it's using the calculator app, whether it's checking the weather for the next week, whether it's playing Minecraft, right? Like, all of those things can be broken down into a bunch of instructions that are all kept constant. So maybe in your instructions you have like an instruction that finds a random number, right? There's instructions for random number generation. There's instructions for for diagnostic purposes, right? There's instructions for doing specific math operations. All of these instructions, there's a finite number of instructions on a CPU, but there's, I guess, maybe like an infinite number of things you can do with that CPU, but it's just going to be based on a combination of instructions. So let's say, for example, you are, what's a good example? It's a good way to think of it is like, anytime you run an application on your CPU, it's basically just a bunch of tiny little math operations that are happening at the same time to create this complex effect. Okay? So when they say processes here, they're really referring to like instruction streams 2 separate cores means you can handle 2 independent streams of instructions that have their own independent resources and their own independent domains within the CPU. RAM cooler? Yeah, nice. I told my friend to get the 10400F. She hit me with a part list some random friend center, and he recommended. That is dog shit. That is not good. I told her she doesn't need a 9700K, and she's asking why a more expensive CPU wouldn't be better for playing and streaming at the same time. Well, first of all, the 9700K is terrible at $300, so you should probably tell her that just because something costs a certain amount at some time doesn't mean that that should be that price at the time. And it doesn't mean that that price was ever really worth paying anyways. Like, theoretically, Intel could release their next-gen CPUs and have the quad-core CPU be $500, and that doesn't necessarily mean the CPU is, performs like it should be at $500. So, just because the CPU is $300 doesn't mean it's better than other CPUs that are lower in cost. And second, if you're streaming, and you're just, casually streaming on a single system, then you should be using your GPU to stream. You should be using a hardware encoder to stream. Would you recommend the 10700 or the 5600X? I do not know why you would get a 10700. You'd have to have a very strange use case to justify getting a 10700. 5600X though, I can maybe recommend that. Depends. Can I water cool my radiator and then water cool that loop's radiator? I mean, yes, but good luck finding a block for a radiator. What should we do? Is there anything else? No, that's basically it. Alright, so does anybody in this channel have questions about PC building? Put them in the voice chat text channel and we'll take a look. What is the 1TB SSD of the day? Let's see. Why does my hand feel like it's oily despite being dry? This is concerning. Alright, let's see. What do we got? Bunch of garbage. We got MX500 at 90. We got 665p at 95. What else? We got SN550 for 105. It's probably 665p. I would say 665p is maybe worth $5 over the MX500. Although if you wanted to go for the MX500, I wouldn't blame you. So either MX500 or 665p. My preference would be 665p. Is it still the 665p? Yep. Although this isn't great. This is just the best of what's available right now. $95 per terabyte for like low mid-range NVMe. Not great, but it's what we got. Normally you're aiming for like $85 a terabyte or 90. What GPU is recommended for a 4th gen Optiplex? You'd have to check your compatibility first before you open your options like that, because Optiplexes can be a little anal with what they're allowed. What do you mean by use case? What are you using the PC for? That is a use case. An i5 one? That does not help me at all. That did not help me whatsoever. GPU and CPU compatibility have very little to do with each other, and I'm more so talking about the length and slot width your Optiplex can support, as well as power. What would you recommend for someone gaming? I mean, like, almost everyone in the server is buying PCs for gaming, so I do not know. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific than that. Should I get a 1650? Again, you have to check compatibility. If you can replace the power supply, you can get something a lot better than a 1650. If you can't, then a 1650 is probably the best thing you can get. That's a 75 watt envelope. What does the gigabyte do in the GPU? So kind of like, you know how CPUs have RAM? CPUs, if they're working on shit and it doesn't fit in the cache, they put in the RAM. Well, yeah, GPUs also have cache and they also have RAM, but we call it VRAM. The reason why it's called VRAM and it's not just using the system RAM is because the GPU is also a very, you know, it's like a big processing hub for data, kind of like the CPU is, you know. It needs a lot of data pumped into it and out of it a lot of the time. And so having to go all the way from the GPU's PCB or the board and through the PCIe slot and to the system RAM takes a long ass time. Even if you have very fast RAM, physically speaking, that distance, the electrical traces that are traveling between the GPU or that are along the way from the GPU all the way to the system RAM, that's a long way, right? That's a long way. And so that's going to affect performance a lot. Especially when you're, you know, especially when you're playing games or you're doing other GPU intensive workloads, which are very, very time sensitive, very latency sensitive, right? You want your data to be as close to the GPU as possible. So the GB or gigabyte, you know, kind of like 16 gigs of RAM, it's similar. The VRAM on the GPU is basically RAM that is put as close as possible, physically speaking, to the GPU. If you actually look at a GPU, right? Actually, let's pull up a GPU right now, right? Let's look at a PCB of a GPU right now. Sorry, 1 second. Let's look at the 3080, right? Does TPU have like a PCB picture of the 3080 somewhere? There we go. Okay. This is a bit of a weird PCB, but we'll look at it anyways. So this is a PCB for a GPU. If you take off the cooler, it looks like this. Well, most GPUs have a rectangular PCB and not this weird Pac-Man shit, but yeah, that's besides the point. This is the GPU. This is kind of like the CPU, you know, that you have in your system. This is the GPU. It's like, you know, a kind of square piece of silicon. And right over here, these chips that are covered in some sort of white sand, these chips are the VRAM. So look how physically close these things are together. Look at that physical proximity. So there's very little distance that the electrical signals need to travel between the GPU die, we call this the die, and the RAM, and that will help a lot with performance. Whereas if you had the GPU plugged into, you know, the PCI slot and it had to use the system RAM, you would have a lot of latency because you have a lot of time going through the PCI slot all the way to the RAM, and there's also processing overhead involved in that as well. So that's why GPUs have their own RAM. And actually, I want to point out something else that kind of highlights this concept. If we go to the Vega 56, okay? The Vega 56 uses a different type of VRAM called HBM2, right? And if we look at the Vega 56, you'll notice that there is actually no VRAM that's visible on the PCB of the Vega 56. And the reason for this is that HBM2 is based on something called an interposer. An interposer is basically a big piece of silicon that has a bunch of tiny pins on it. You can think of it like pins. And it's basically, this is like the next evolved step after what I showed you earlier. So what I showed you earlier, yes, we move the RAM closer to the GPU, so it's right next to it on the circuit board. Very short distance, very good for latency and performance, right? HBM takes this to the next step using an interposer. It literally has the GPU and two modules of HBM2 on the same die. They're actually in the same package. They're in the same square here, right? So they're not even, the RAM's not even, doesn't even have to go through the circuit board anymore. It just goes through the interposer, which is like a little die here with a bunch of pins on it. And that directly routes between that GPU die right next to the HBM2 that's like right next to it. So this is HBM2 is really great for that reason. It's also very expensive because it's rather difficult to fabricate interposers, and it's also rather difficult to engineer solutions for HBM2 since it's a rather new technology, at least compared to GDDR. So yeah. Is there a way to overclock a 9700F? Yeah, you can use base clock overclocking, but it's not worth it at all. Oh yeah, I didn't explain what VRAM actually does. So VRAM again stores what the GPU cache can handle, and that's anything the GPU is working on. So remember how I said CPU is like general purpose workloads, and GPU is, like the G suggests, graphical processing workloads, or mostly graphical processing workloads. Certainly for a gaming PC, it would be graphics related. Anything that the GPU is working on, is crunching on for graphics related stuff, that can be, you know, texture files, that can be like effect files, anything that the GPU is working with at the time, which if you're gaming will be game resources, will go into VRAM, right? So if you have too little VRAM, sometimes the GPU will have to say, hey, you know, we got to scale down the level of detail in the game that we're playing in order so that we don't have to have stutters. Or if the GPU doesn't scale down that level of detail, it will instead choose to start leaking those game resources into the system RAM, which, as we talked about earlier, is much, much further physically and electrically from the GPU, and that's going to result in stuttering, okay? Because think about it, if you're accessing some of your game resources very, very fast, because the VRAM is right next to the GPU, or the GPU die, the silicon, it's right there, it's right next to it, that's cool. But what if some of your resources are way, way, way slower to access, right? It's like maybe having some of Windows on the hard drive and having the rest of it on your SSD, right? That's not actually possible, but let's say you did that, right? Then your Windows would start stuttering, because every time your CPU wanted to do something with Windows, it would say, oh no, like, hey, you know, some of the Windows is on this like really slow shit. Like, what am I gonna do, right? Kind of like that. So if the GPU has to start pumping those game resources into your system RAM, you're going to run into stuttering. That's not cool. Not gamer. So you need to have enough VRAM to play the games that you want to play, obviously. Although most people who are worried about VRAM, they're making too much of a big deal about it. You know, they're saying, oh, you know, like 8 gigs of VRAM not enough, 10 gigs of VRAM not enough. You know, by the time VRAM is a concern, you know, it's like people that are playing, I don't know, like 4K max settings on like a 4 gig GPU on like modern AAA titles. That's when you're gonna maybe run into those issues. But 4 gig GPUs, none of the 4 gig GPUs we have are like super high performing anyway. So, you know, you're not gonna be performing very well anyways if you're playing like 4K ultra settings. I read that for 1440p gaming, GPU takes all the load. Does that mean for 1080p CPU more? Why is that? Okay, an oversimplification of how gaming works, at least for CPU and GPU interaction, is that your CPU generates frames, okay? And your GPU... Okay, weird champ. Your CPU generates frames, and your GPU is responsible for adding effects to those frames or decorating those frames, okay? So the CPU can pump out a certain number of frames, and the GPU can add whatever it needs to on top of those frames, but it's not the other way around. So here's the thing, right? The CPU will handle things like physics and AI and calculations for like, it's like anything like related to like simulations. CPUs will handle that for gaming, right? Now, if you think about it, if you increase the resolution on your screen, and let's say you're thinking about NPCs and AI, right? Like, let's say you're doing, you know, you're playing Civ 6, right? Civ 6 is a very, I mean, it's legitimately like, it's literally called AI, you know, turn time test for like some of the benchmarks for Civ 6, right? So Civ 6, for example, you're testing out which CPUs are best for gaming.
Well, that's why I peed in my computer.
Okay, yeah. Why fucking people are cringe, dude? I gotta, 1 second. Let me yeet this man. He's been a bad boy. Give me a second. Telling us about how he pees in his computer. Okay. Did he leave the server? No, he didn't. Okay, whatever. So so if you increase the resolution, right? Think about what that does to your CPU, right? If you increase the resolution, does your CPU need to calculate more AI, No, because you have the same number of characters on screen because you're not increasing your camera angle, right? Increasing your resolution doesn't increase your FOV. It just increases the number of pixels on screen that are being used to it increases the amount of rasterization that the GPU has to do. Rasterization is the act of converting a scene, a camera angle into pixels, into color information. So, your CPU, its workload, for example, for AI doesn't change. Like, let's say you're playing Minecraft, you are, looking out your window and you see some pigs, right? And the pigs are, the game needs to automatically make the pigs interact with like another mob in the game, right? If you increase your resolution, the number of pigs doesn't change, right? And the intensity at which those pigs need to perform actions, or the rate at which those pigs need to perform actions, that doesn't change, right? So it's part of the reason why increasing your resolution typically does not increase your CPU workload. There are some rare instances where in games, if you increase resolution, some of the other settings may change too, like draw distance, and that can change your CPU workload, but typically it's rather minor. So your CPU workload typically does not change as you increase resolution. What does change is your GPU workload though, because let's say, you're rendering a scene, right? And if you're rendering a scene using a GPU, right? The GPU, sorry, I'm fucking like really sleep deprived. My brain is like fucking shutting down right now. If you have more pixels, right? The GPU is forced to rasterize more data, right? Because the CPU has, done the calculations for everything that's going to be in the frame. But in terms of actually representing that frame on your screen and converting it mathematically into those pixels you see on your screen, if there are more pixels, that's going to be more computationally intensive for your GPU, right? So yeah, that's kind of how resolution scaling works. It's a bit of an oversimplification. There's some other stuff we can talk about in the graphics pipeline, but that's basically all you need to know for CPUs and GPUs. That's the reason why, GPU matters less and less as you decrease resolution. That's why people tend to say, CPU doesn't matter at 4K. Obviously, yes, your CPU does matter at 4K, but it matters less because at that point, you're getting less frames because you're at a higher resolution, so your GPU is being taxed more. And because you're getting less frames, your CPU has less of those calculations to do, right? It's doing less of those calculations per second. So that's kind of how resolution scaling works. Which leads to some weird scenarios, right? Because a lot of the time people with high budgets will go high resolution, and then you actually end up needing to spend less on the CPU. So it's a little weird like that. Okay, let's see. At like a certain base clock on an Intel system, does it literally not turn on, lol? Yeah, I mean, base clocking is similar to just like core clocking. Yeah, at a certain clock speed, you're not going to be stable. And for base clock, that threshold is a decent bit lower than core clock is. VRM is different from VRMs, right? Yeah, they're similar in name, but VRAM is video RAM. So it is RAM that is dedicated to tasks. And VRMs are completely different. VRMs are not storage. They're not memory. VRMs are a power component. They're an electrical component that are responsible for keeping your voltage nice and steady and at whatever level you want it to be. What would Intel CPUs be used for and what would AMDs be used for typically? I always see different opinions on them. Here's the thing, right? Like Intel versus AMD in terms of like specifics, there's not much that's that different for regular people. Like there's not much that's like, besides just like straight up gaming performance, right? Gaming performance, easy to understand. There aren't really any like specific features. Like for example, if you're comparing AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, a very obvious feature difference is that NVIDIA GPUs have DLSS while AMD GPUs do not have that feature. At least yet, they don't have a competitor to that feature yet, right? So that's pretty obvious. But with Intel and AMD CPUs, you don't really have that sort of feature that's relevant to consumers that you can say, oh, if you're doing this, then you gotta go Intel, you gotta go AMD because it has X or it has so-and-so, right? So you know, it's basically just based on price. That's all it is. Yeah. So right now, an Intel i5 10400/F plus B460 board is cheaper than a Ryzen 5 3600 and B450 board. And so for that reason, since they perform relatively similarly in gaming, we recommend the cheaper one for gaming. If the 3600 combo drops in price in, you know, the next few months, or the Intel combo goes up in price, then, you know, we change what we recommend. That's all it is. It's not like, you know, Intel and AMD CPUs are super different for regular people. You just look at benchmarks. That's the easiest way to go about things. I mainly play Fortnite, Apex, Valorant, COD, Warzone, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so like light games. Will it all run fine with a 1650? I mean, it could run better, but a 1650, I mean, those are all pretty light games. So a 1650 should be okay on them. Will a 1650 handle them all? Of everything you listed, yeah. I mean, RDR2 might have trouble. FH4 might have a little bit of trouble. And like Warzone might have a little bit of trouble. But everything else there should be easy. Okay. Since I can fully upgrade an Optiplex and resell in my country for 400 or 500 without the 1650, no problems, and get a better gaming PC, do you think it's worth it? Like, yeah, maybe. Did someone say little triangles? Okay.
Heavy breathing.
It's drawing polygons with Aegis time.
Based.
Things people never ask you about. VRAM ECC. Yeah, lol. G6X ECC gang. Personal question, with your knowledge, do you currently or plan to mine Bitcoin? No, I'm too lazy to mine Bitcoin, and it's not very lucrative right now.
Isn't it not that lucrative right now with GPUs?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
isn't
not
it like
really
ASIC
lucrative.
gang or whatever?
Yeah, even ASICs, nah, it's
I
like
mean,
meh.
And the new cards aren't the new cards like pretty good at it, but like no one
Yeah.
can get them. Also, they cost a lot, so
Yeah, I mean, look, if I was to mine Bitcoin, I would have done it like 4 years ago or
yeah.
5 years
Or
ago.
at least do ASICs. Don't get into it now. I mean, literally, probably investing in it is a better choice at this time.
Eh,
Like,
I've heard
just
some people
buying a
say the
Bitcoin
ones
is the
doing it
best.
are smart. Lol. Nah, that's literally just boomer talk. Dude, here's the thing about crypto, right? Like 99.9% of the people talking about crypto have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're all fucking armchair economists. They're all like r/Wall Street bet types. I'm telling
Oh
you.
no.
Crypto's a fucking meme. Yeah. Crypto is kind of a meme. It's like a libertarian technocrat dream currency. It's a good meme.
If it was more stable, then I think people would take it seriously. But
No, it's
But- yeah.
it's not necessarily about stability. That's not why people don't take it seriously. Yeah. I mean, it's you people who say like, oh yeah, you know, they're doing Bitcoin, they're smart. It's usually just like boomers that are like impressed by crypto being new, which is like, okay, cool gamer. Cool gamer.
Gamer
r/Wall
moment.
Street bets is a meme. I mean, yeah, it's literally a meme subreddit. Wait, is that Natty? Oh my god, that is Natty.
Hi.
What's up, Natty?
Is that Natty?
Hi.
It just
Hello,
won't be the
female
new
Carl.
currency IMO. I mean, it's not aiming to be the new currency. Why would the government take
Oh,
the
even
currency of
Doggo's
their own?
back. We got all the OGs.
What CPU and memory do you recommend for an intensive gaming / game design? Same for storage?
Intensive gaming.
Intensive gaming.
Gaming.
/ game design. 5100 ballistics max. Oh yeah.
Crucial Balsamic.
Raid Omega lol. Nice. Yeah. CPU and memory for intense gaming and game design. I don't know. I don't know how much money you have. I mean, if you have a lot of money, do like 5950X dual rank beat eye. But
That's why I recommend MX 500s. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Wait, but what about the P2 Cubex? How could you do this? How could you do this? Dude, fucking Silicon this morning was like, yeah, Aegis, I can't find benchmarks that compare the P2 and
I can't find
665p.
benchmarks, so I'm
But
only
the
comparing
P2 is
IOPS.
higher IOPS, dude. It has higher
Yes.
IOPS, and that means it's better, and you're wrong, and I'm right. Okay, buddy?
That was really cringe.
P1 over P2? That's a hot take. That's actually a hot... That's... Honestly, comparing P1 to P2 and saying one is better than the other is just... Either way is a hot take. Because nobody has a take on that. Nobody has a take on it. And it's like... That's actually hard, dude. And the SSD School of Hard Knocks, that's the first question on the exam. Is the P1 or the P2 better? Because even I don't have like a strict answer to that. Because it kind of like really depends on what you assign to be more valuable. Do you care about, you know, having better sustained sequential after a while and having it be like higher because base TLC is faster? Or do you care about having a more consumer oriented drive? You know, I don't know, dude. Do you pee on your SSDs to warm them? What the fuck? What is going on in this chat? When you have to balance SM2262EN and E12, bro, just recommend Silicon Power A80. Then the person that is buying it may get either, and you can say that you just recommended both without ever having to
That'd
pick
be
a side.
cringe.
So if you didn't know, the Silicon Power A80 has both an SM2262EN and E12 versions that are undisclosed. So if you buy one, you'll get either. Yeah. MP33 is different. It's SM2263XT or E13T. Or are you asking me like what other SSDs are dual platform? Oh, there's a ton of them. Those are like the main ones that are like popular right now though. Yeah, those are like by far the most popular. Yeah. Actually, no, that's not that common. Like official. You know what I'm saying? Like it is strange to have a drive that has two variants at the same time. It's not uncommon for a drive to change and then like permanently change configurations, but it is strange for a drive to have two at the same time. You know? It's a bit wacky. It's a bit of a whack moment, a weird champ moment, I would say.
Weird champ.
Oh yeah, a weird champ. I'm feeling a little weird champ right now. Yo, Bill.
Yeah.
Are you my little pog? Are you my little pog champ? I can't
Yes.
say that without laughing. Oh my god, Natty has the emote too. You have an emote called My Little PogChamp? Oh my god, you're actually oh god. The degeneracy, it's too much. Oh my god, Natty. Oh, Natty, no.
Oh, fine. I guess you're my little pog champ.
Fine, I guess you are my little
Or my
PogChamp.
little pog champ.
Yo, Bill, are you my little PogChamp?
Yes.
I want to see Rev heating people up in the microwave. Holy shit! There's been quite a few quotes added.
What's going on?
Let's look at the quotes.
Oh,
Let's see.
Let's go.
Moan. I'm getting smoked by a dog. I have a feet
Vegas,
fetish.
when did you say that?
I love them when they
What
are
are you
stuffed
saying?
with gamer gunk. We talk about crusty foot fetishes openly. I just need Tim's feet again. Windows will pick it up as a virus, but that's normal. Help me, step bro. I'm stuck in the SSD spreadsheet. Oh
Where's
my
the on
god.
button?
Apparently these are all things that I've said in the voice
Where's
chat.
the on button? I'm feeling a little weird champ right now. Yo,
I'm
Bill,
feeling a little
are
weird
you
champ right now. Hi, it's me from the other day. I was gonna ask my use cases to game at 360 FPS 1080p.
Aegis? I will take a rug out, put it on the floor, and roll the children. I will absolutely roll all over them.
Yeah.
Aegis, come on.
Oh, I was a lot more
Come on,
graphing
what-
than that. I was telling people I was gonna steamroll the children of Overwatch as I rolled
What are you
across
doing,
them with my rolling rodent, the hamster, Mr. Hammond.
Why do SSD companies make SSDs?
Yeah, dude. You ever think about that? I ask myself that question all the time, dude. Like, why do we even exist? Just to suffer? Currently, I'm considering a 5900X and 3080. Do you think I should? No. I mean, like, if you want, but it's 5900X is still gonna be fine. You're not gonna regret it. Besides, if you're waiting for 11th gen Intel, you have to wait for 2 months. And unless you want to be 2 months without a gaming PC, without gamering,
Gaming.
then, you know, if you'd rather wait 2 months and not have a gaming PC, then go for it. But, I mean, to be fair, if you're going for 5900X 3080, you're going to be waiting anyway, but you know what I mean. I don't know how to play Hammond yet. Maybe one day. Look, Hammond is really easy to pick up. Actually, no. Hammond is difficult to initially learn because he's such a weird hero. Like, Hammond is played differently from every other hero in the game. Like, he's so fucking weird. He is extremely cute, I agree. But yeah, Hammond is played so differently from every other hero in the game. But once you get a basic grasp of the mechanics, you're not awkwardly bumping into things anymore. You understand the basic combos. It's relatively easy to get a lot of value while being a shitter. Like, while being a shitty player, you can get a lot of value out of Hammond if you know how to play him, like, even decently. Alpha just sends me quirky Ben Shapiro pics. Ooh. Ooh. Feisty. Spicy. Can you quickly check my PC list? I've been saving up for it, so I'll be willing to pay a high price. Every time someone asks me that, every time someone tells me they've been saving up a lot, it's always like fucking like 3K or some shit. And I'm like, dude, why are you spending 3K on a PC? Don't do this.
No, or it's nothing. There's no in
Let's
between.
see. Wow,
It's
I
either
am
$0
spot on. It's 3.2K. Yep.
Ah,
Anyways, yeah, this is terrible. This is
if you leave,
this is really bad for 3K. I mean, it's also because you have a 3080 in this list for like $1,500 or $1,600. So, yeah, if you want a maxed out PC, you know, like 1440p 144, 4K 144, whatever, 5600X 3080 is the way to go. But obviously, 5600X hard to get for 300. Try and get it for 300. 3080, very difficult to get for a good price. So you're going to be getting those two parts first, and then coming back to me, and then we'll deal with the rest of your parts. But the rest of your parts are pretty bad. You know, $300 Taichi is just no. Does Taichi even have flashback? Like,
no, I don't think it does.
I'm pretty sure Taichi doesn't even have flashback, right?
No, I think it does. The XI70 one. Are we talking about them?
Yeah.
I don't see a flashback button. Oh, it does. Never mind. Yeah, but still, terrible motherboard
It's
choice.
only the Tai Chi lines that have that button. Other
Yeah,
than
it's
that,
weird.
Nope.
Like, ASRock is capable, but they're holding out on the gamers. Early Taichi had Mati topology, bruh. Why do you also know this fact? That's such a random, useless fact.
Early Taichi had T-top.
Ryzen doesn't need T-top. True, because you can just get two 16 gig DIMMs to get the epic dual rank effect, guys. Ah, I see. Do you think 5900X and 3080 Strix will fulfill my use case? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Strix 3080. It can be like a, I don't know, a Gaming X Trio 3080 or an XE3 3080, you know, or a Tough 3080. But yeah, a 5900X and 3080 will definitely work. 699 followers. I had 700 yesterday, bro. It's messed up, cringe? Bro. What's up?
My friend got a Ventus 3X 3080, and then he also got a AIO, right? And you have to front mount the AIO in his case because like the RAM smashes into it at the top, right? So he puts this in a P300A. So then he has to detach one of the fans on the AIO, and I'm just like, why?
Epic gamer moment, dude.
Like, you're gimping your performance so much. No.
120.5 AIO, dude. Very epic. Big Sag.
20,
I agree.
120 AIO.
Oh shit. Okay.
Alpha has the best memes considering he is
Did
like
Nvidia
14.
stop using TI versions? No, their most recent GPU is literally a TI.
There's a 3060 Ti.
Yeah. Nat, what did you think of the sexy Simon Chipmunk meme I sent you? Alpha, I never want to see this again. Oh my god. This was a mistake.
Weird champ. Does anyone have weird champ emoji?
Yeah, we need a weird champ in the chat. We need a fucking weird champ in the chat, dude.
Weird champ.
Oh man. Ay, dude.
Weird champ.
a very weird champ. Dude, I kind of want to go to sleep. I'm like really fucking tired for some reason, even though I woke up later than I did yesterday and I wasn't that tired. I don't know. I don't know, dude.
Is there a difference 3080 brands? Not really. in
Sleep, your
terms of
body is
performance.
speaking to you, but it's like 2:30 p.m. and if I sleep now, I'm gonna wake up at like 9 p.m. and I'm gonna be fucked. So I'm gonna have to like keep myself up for now, so that I can like
Strict
wake up at a normal time.
BIOS.
I'm gonna
Okay,
start
Drake.
making a list and might send it here in the next stream. All right, sounds good. Is there an actual difference between all the 3080 brands? Yeah, like they're different brands. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
they're different brands.
But in
thermal
terms of like
performance-
performance, you'd have to look at specific models. Because like
Actual FPS be around the same, but the
every
thermals
brand
would-
makes a bunch of different 3080s and they're all different. So it's like,
are
you know,
cringe direct contact
3090
versus
is most recent. No, 3060 Ti is most recent. It was I think 3080 came first, and then 3090, and then 3070, and then 3060 Ti.
Yeah. Wait, did they release 3060 on Ti or am I tripping?
They announced it, but it's not available yet until February.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, Cube, how far is your state from New York? I don't know US geography. Hold on. Let me
Bruh. Chicago's like the Lake Michigan. You know, like the
Maps.
gap, Lake Michigan and Lake Superior.
uh-huh.
Like there.
Chicago to New York. Let's see. I'm doing some advanced
yeah,
mathematics. Wait a
Quebec.
second. That is extremely far. It is 12 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, never mind. I'm not visiting Quebec to give him head pats.
12 hours isn't bad, to be honest.
What do you
It's
mean?
like, isn't it like 20 hours from
Look,
like
if it was like 8 hours, I would consider it. You know, 8 hours to head pat my boy seems like a fair trade. But 12 hours is a little too much.
Yeah.
Aegis is
12 hours isn't
Canadian.
bad.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, but I
just knows how to use
live in the
part
US.
picker.
Or I
just knows how to
normally live in the
change.
US. I'm currently living in Canada though.
Yeah, because now you are lazy boy.
Yeah,
Gap year.
I'm on my gap year. You know, I'm chilling, I'm
Can't even
vibing.
get SSD sheet done.
Would the RTX 3080 with 3 fans work better than the one with 1 fan? How are you finding a 3080 with 1 fan? There's like 2 of them.
Version.
How are you finding one?
Hitting up the OEMs and buying one, obviously.
Yeah, more fans correlates with better cooling performance, but doesn't necessarily mean better cooling performance, because you can have a triple fan cooler that's designed well but has garbage contact because the factory was dumb, and you can have a single fan cooler that's designed well and has, you know, good contact and outperforms a triple fan. It happens. You know, it happens. Hey son, who is this random teenager you met at the door? I met him on the internet, so he's Bulgarian. What the fuck? Nice.
Hey, who's this guy at the door? He's called Aegis.
I think he's watching stream. That's why he's deafened, maybe. I'm not sure though. 3080 paper edition doesn't heat at all. Speak of efficiency. Damn. Spicy meme, dude. I don't know. Should I like force myself to play Overwatch so I stay awake and then I can just int on tank and just, I don't know, I'll play Hammond and I'll just roll around and feed. Just be a 600 HP ult battery. And then I don't have to worry about falling asleep then. Goodbye SR. I'm so mad, dude. I gained 250 SR today. 250 SR. I was so close to breaking into plat on tank. I was 2475. I was 1 game away. But I started feeding because it's basically the equivalent of pulling an all-nighter for me right now. So yeah, not doing so well. Not good on the mental. I already have a Corsair RM850X power supply in my current build. Would this be enough for a 5900X and 3080? Yes, sir. It would be. It would indeed be. Harry Styles. Harry Styles is a hottie. OG, the lab members by order of join date. Cubex, Dex, Ryu. Who is Helium? Based. Yeah. Harry Styles is a hottie. Who is lab members? It's for science fair. We're doing a science fair, and so we're all part of a lab group together. I am second most based member in the lab, or I'm definitely top 5. Yeah, the science fair is very cool. We're doing a science fair project. The science fair project is called Operation Sego Shill. That is what it is. We are an organization dedicated to shilling Segotep power supplies, dude.
We're looking how much it costs to fly a private jet to China to visit the Segotep factory.
Do you plan to play the new upcoming game Wevma? Is this a meme like Sugma? Like you're gonna be like Wevma nuts? Ah, I knew it. Fuck you. Wait, Wevma? Wevma nuts? What does that even mean? Wev? Is Wev even a word?
Wevwe.
Wevma nuts? What is Wiv? You know, at least Sugma was like, you know, or like Ligma was like, you know, lick my nuts, right? Whereas like, I don't know what this one is. Wivma? Whiff my nuts? Like smell them? Get a whiff of my nuts?
What?
Am I overthinking this? Nasty bitch. You're the one that said that. I don't know, dude. Is it bad to use the PSU for my old build? No, the RMX is great. If you have a very high quality power supply, it's totally fine to use it over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 builds. Like good power supplies can last easily over a decade. What PC setup do you have? It's a 3400G. I have a club meeting now. Buy Alpha Buy build. Okay. See, I have a 3400G with no GPU, and I'm pain. All I know is pain, suffering. Pain.
No, Nat has to leave.
Drake, what is that emote? Is that a dude
Wait,
squeezing?
Is Drake in the VC?
No. Is that a dude squeezing a goose's bill shut? What is that?
Bill?
No, like, you know, the bill, like the beak.
The nose.
Yeah.
And the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called a bill, right? Like the ducks have bills, yeah. So yeah, dude, I honestly like I should go to sleep.
No, you shouldn't. That'd be funny if you didn't.
It'd be funny if I didn't sleep. True. It would be a haha funny.
No, Aegis does it. Aegis, you should do a 24-hour stream.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be really funny.
That'd be really
starting
based.
now. Just starting now. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'll be awake for like 50 hours. It'll be good. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Fucking stay in school, dude. Pay attention in class, dude. Fucking work your ass off, dude, in class. I'm telling you.
Don't be
Build
like
help
Aegis.
over class. You know, Alpha might be joking, but I took that shit seriously. Okay.
Get out of build
I'm
help
not
and be in
joking.
class.
Yeah,
Build help is way more fun than math
legitimately like I literally first of all I did build help in class. Like every algebra 2 period I would do build help. So
Yeah, I did build help in school. I'm not gonna lie.
and then
First
like
year high school, just
every
on
class.
that phone.
I would also just not go to school. I had like hold on. Do I have my report card still? With my attendance record? Yeah, that was a classic. Just staying up until 2 a.m. to do build help and then sleeping in the next day and not going to school. Based. It's called Build Advice now. Dude, we really need to change the channel name to Part Picking, okay? It's so much more catchy. We already have PC Part Picker, so it like makes sense already. But no, it's still called Build Advice and people still don't understand what it means. You know, we still get people who are like, well, yeah, but it says build advice. So like, I need help with my build. And we're like,
Or
no, go to
PC
assembly help.
help.
Yeah, we're like, no, go to assembly help. And they're like, yeah, but there's like build advice. You're like, you know, give me advice on my build. And you're like, bruh momento. I really don't understand why we don't just call it part picking. It would make things so much easier. All right, which one of you nerds is DMing me? Let's see. Yo, I've been sitting in voice listening. You sound like you know a lot. I was wanting to run Overwatch Valorant at 1080p 360. I was looking at Gen 4 SSD. No. X570. No. 3080.
No.
No. 1500X maybe. 1500X no. 3600 C16 no. 1000-watt gold no. Don't know what models work best together, especially motherboards. Budget 2500 USD or 3200 Canadian. Well, which one is it? Are you Canadian or American? I'm playing on console with an overclocked TV to 60 hertz. Help, please. That's a mood. But are you can also type in voice chat text, by the way. Also, why did my fucking